And now,
it's 10 a.m.
Let's just get down to it.
And it's time for your sports fix.
Strap yourselves in, folks.
From two guys who have covered the teams you're passionate about for years.
We are professionals.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson, thank you for making us a part of your day. No matter how you may be consuming the show, streaming, over the air, YouTube, KSL Sports, the KSL Sports app, and, of course, our friends in the future in the podcast world. Did I miss anything, Ben?
Nope.
I guess if you were standing in the next room with Christian, you could be hearing us.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. How's it going?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing fine. Christian, you in a better mood today? Man, you were salty yesterday.
Salty.
Yeah, I found out who the tire place was.
Was it who you suspected?
There were two options.
There were two suspects. There were two possibilities, and one of them was...
It was one of the two.
It was one of the two. It was fun to hear Scotty explain it. I don't know if you... were you podcasting yesterday? Whatever.
I was in a meeting, yeah.
I don't know if you heard Scotty explain it, but it didn't sound pleasant.
Sure.
I still couldn't help but thinking, why not just get a ride to the show? Because that was his big focus, because Scotty's a pro. Wanted to make sure he was at the show yesterday at RGS. But hit Christian up. He'll pick you up.
Yeah, please do.
He'll give you
He
a
loves going
ride.
to Brigham City.
Yeah, he does. He could visit family and pick up Scotty. That's like 2 birds.
8 a.m. on a Tuesday.
Yeah, it's like 2 birds, 1 stone right there. You can't tell me your parents wouldn't be thrilled to see you, Christian, at 8 a.m. on any day.
They'd be working, but so, yeah.
At 8 a.m.?
Yeah.
Already at work?
Yeah. My mom's a teacher, and then, yeah.
No, I start at 10 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
Not a second earlier.
Teachers do go in early. That is true. We could visit her at school.
What grade?
6th,
Oh,
math.
okay. Oh, so it's a junior high.
Yeah.
Okay. 6th was elementary school for me still. So
Bless her heart. And you know why I say that, Ben? Because I actually, for a hot second, years and years and years ago, considered becoming a teacher.
Uh-huh.
And I thought to myself, I think elementary school would be okay. And I think high school would be okay. I don't think I could handle junior high.
I don't want any part of junior high.
I think, and I don't know, I haven't experienced those years with my own kids, so I don't want to speak.
Your instincts are correct.
I don't want to speak to anything I'm not an expert on. But I do remember what a terrible person I was at that age.
Yeah.
And I can't help but think, man, your mom, Christian, is doing, God, what's the best way to put this?
God's work.
Yeah.
The Lord's work.
The Lord's work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bless her heart. And I mean that entirely. What were you doing in 8th grade, Ben? You were vandalizing something.
Yeah. Probably was.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You were vandalizing
Troublemaker.
something.
Of course. Yeah.
And, of course, those days continued till Ben's early 30s. Took him a while to shake it.
Yeah.
His neighbors really got tired of it. Ben, stop spray painting my fence.
It's Ben again.
Because Ben got lazy and didn't want to, climb
I
things
got to be
or
in bed
anything.
early. Yeah. The sun was still up when I was doing it at some point. Pretty brazen.
I'm not vandalizing billboards anymore. I'm just...
Whatever's around. Whatever's close.
Ben, stop it. Or at very least, stop signing your name at the bottom.
Ben Anderson, KSL Sports.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Put your socials on there. Oh, Ben, that's funny. All right, Ben, do you want to start with college football?
Yeah.
Do we care, and I know people do, but do we care about the college football playoff rankings?
I was honestly pretty surprised that Utah was at 13, obviously. And my other question is, why is BYU not higher? But
BYU at 7, Texas Tech 8.
Utah 13.
Uh-huh.
At this point, it feels, on the Utah perspective, feels far more likely Utah makes the college football playoff than it does Utah makes the Big 12 title game, which is a little strange. Again, Utah has to have a couple of things go right with very specific, actually kind of several things go right with two very specific teams, the two teams in front of them, in the Big 12 to make it to the Big 12 title game. They either need BYU to lose, 3 games before the end of the season, which I don't think is going to happen, or Texas Tech to lose 2 more games, which I guess is potentially possible, but I'm not really betting on that either, to make the Big 12 title game. On the flip side, they need any one of these teams in front of them to fall back, and then Utah's sitting there at number 12 and has a real puncher's chance when they finally decide who's going to be in the playoff to go in. And if two teams screw up in front of them, now there's always a potential that somebody jumps them, Utah's going to skate into the college football playoff.
So now don't get my take wrong here, because I've spent the week so far laying scenarios for Utah to get into the playoff. I brought it up when DJ and PK had a guest, Big 12 expert from
TuneIn Radio.
TuneIn Radio, yeah. And he was super optimistic about it, which kind of stood out to me. And so, little discussion. And yeah, I've been that's reasonable. So don't get my take wrong here. This is meaningless.
Sure.
Like them being at 13, you go, oh, well, now they just have to jump one spot. And absolutely meaningless. And we've seen them pull crazy stuff right out of their backside over and over and over again. We've seen them rank teams for storylines.
Yeah.
We've seen them do all of that. And so why we would take any of this seriously is honestly beyond me. And think of how they make the College Football Playoff Committee in the first place. They throw a big group of people that all have their own agenda into it, and this is what falls out. It has nothing to do with, I think that Utah is the 13th best team in the country. It has to do more with, and even if you don't want to be cynical about it, it has to do more with, wow, should we weight the Big 12 teams higher than the ACC teams? Or should we weight this over that? Or heaven forbid, we don't want to piss off Alabama, so let's rank them here. Or let's make sure there's this many SEC teams in the top whatever. It's about anything other than let's come up with a fair ranking like the Jake and Ben Big 12 Power Poll, which is obviously completely fair, logical, and legit.
And objective.
Completely objective. There's nobody ranking the Raiders like 18th because they don't like their fans personally. Yeah, they never would anybody do anything like that. Never would some SEC clown go into the committee meeting and try to throw his weight around or her weight around or whatever. Well, I mean, I heard DJ and PK talking about the Big 12 people in the room that are sure are just playing defense. And what are they trading to, hey, put Utah a little higher? Like, it's meaningless. Ben, you brought this up yesterday? They took an undefeated Florida State team out because of circumstance.
Yeah.
And everybody knew that them losing their quarterback would affect them.
Yeah.
But what's the point? They were undefeated. They had beat everybody.
Yeah.
What is the point? Is the point for some bozo clown to look into all the depth charts of the team and go, I don't think the backup left tackle is going to be very effective with his 60% ankle, so therefore let's pick Ballore. That's so dumb. This is dumb. I think, sure, it's good for Utah. Sure, it's good for BYU to be in the top 10, but it doesn't mean anything. I put more stock in the AP top 25, to be honest.
I don't, but I agree with you that they are not beholden to whatever their rules are today. A month from now, when they are deciding who's going to be in this playoff. What they did in their first ranking is going to have nothing to do with what they do in their final ranking.
And there are no rules.
Right, there are no rules. And to your point, if they are willing, and I understand that Florida losing their quarterback when they were undefeated, Florida State, and they were only doing a 4-team college football playoff at that point, right? And pulling them out and saying, well, we don't think it's the same team without their starting quarterback. Well, that's legit. Yes, it totally derails everything else that they have said, but it also highlights that they can just change the rules when they want to best fit what you have always called it, which is it's a TV show. It's not about fairness. It's about what they think is going to get the best ratings. So
/ not getting sued. Because there is that component to it, too.
Over the next, 3 weeks, 4 weeks if you count this week, which, not for Utah because they've got the bye week, but 3 games, Utah could win out. And yes, even if they are sitting at 11 or 10, 3 weeks from today, going into what will be the final week of the season before the college or the conference championship games, there could be a situation where, yes, a team behind Utah wins a conference championship game or loses a conference championship game, and they say, well, yeah, I know Georgia Tech technically won the ACC, so we're going to put them in. But Virginia really had a great year, so they deserve to be in too, and they're going to jump Utah. That those shenanigans are still very much on the table. So Utah being at 13 is better than being at 19. It's better than being at 20 or unranked. But you're right. I don't think it necessarily lays out if these two teams in front of you lose, Utah's automatically in. There's nothing automatic about how this process works.
I totally agree with you other than the word better. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. Why did SMU make the playoff last year? They were a story.
Yeah.
They got headlines because of the way they got into the conference and because they all of a sudden were the new person and they were rattling off all these wins and they were in the right time zone. And so they were a bigger story than BYU, so they picked SMU. What was SMU ranked last year in the first week of the College Football Playoff Bowl? I bet you $1 zillion it was lower than BYU.
Probably, yeah.
So how much did that end up mattering?
Right.
None. Is it better? I don't know. It's not worse. It's not better. It's meaningless, which is sad, I think, honestly.
Well, again, the only thing that matters is your ranking in the final ranking
so
that comes out.
don't do this. This is stupid. These polls, this is dumb. And the reason I put more stock into the AP is because it's a much larger sample size. It's not, I don't even know, how big is the College Football Playoff Committee now? Is 10, 12 people?
Let's look.
10, 12 self-interested bozos. I'm going to trust their evaluation over
13 members.
Yeah. At least the AP has they have a over 100 people vote at least.
Yeah, ton of writers, yeah.
By the way, last year's initial college football playoff ranking, SMU was 13, BYU 9.
Now, BYU lost before the end of the season, right?
They were undefeated at that point, and then they lost 2 games after that.
And SMU did not. Am I correct? SMU ran the table from there on out. So if you want to look back at it, Utah sitting at 13, SMU sitting at 13. SMU continued to win. Utah, and they needed teams like BYU to lose a couple of games and fall out. That's the case for Utah. But again, you can't apply last year's logic to this year.
But you're going to discount the BYU win over SMU because BYU's losses came at a different point during the schedule or the calendar? That's stupid.
I agree.
So what is the scoreboard? There is no scoreboard.
Well, and the flaw of having a ranking after week 8 is it inherently does reward what you do late in the season, right? If you lose in week 10, like we saw with BYU, they're going to ding you worse than if you lost in week 4, which is what happened to Utah, or week 5 when Utah lost to Texas Tech. I guess it was week 4, right? It was the Big 12 opener. Or if you lose to BYU in week 7 or whatever that was, because the ranking just hasn't come out yet. So, yeah, a late loss is going to hurt you worse than an early loss, which is very silly. If it's just a loss and you're not just...
No, wait, not just a loss to the other team they're considering.
Right. But
a head-to-head on the field result.
But that's why this is silly.
It is.
Conceivably, you should be able to put these in a hat and just draw out all the victories and not know what week these games were played in and say, well, BYU finishes the season 11-1 or 10-2, but they beat Utah. Yes, maybe they lose to Texas Tech twice and lose to them in the conference championship game as well, but they beat Utah, and so, of course, that's a better season than what Utah had, who also finished 10-2 but didn't go to the conference championship game. But that's not what they're doing. It's not without context. It relies entirely on the context of when you're winning these games, which, again, is extraordinarily silly. And that's not a knock. Congrats, Utah. I think Utah is a really good team. I think Utah could be the top 13, 14, 15 team in the country. Maybe they are. I'm a little surprised, honestly, BYU's as low as they are. Why are they behind Ole Miss? Why are they behind some of these teams that do have a loss of their schedule already? But needing context is a little bit silly about what the whole idea was behind the playoff.
By the way, did you see that Sark is already crying about maybe getting more SEC teams in?
I believe it.
Yeah, a 3-loss Texas team. What do you bet me that narrative of, they've got a Manning and they're Texas and whatever eventually wins in that playoff committee room? I mean, it's anyway, I don't mean to be bent out of shape. I think Utah's red hot, and I think they're playing great, and they're steamrolling teams, which is a good thing. And they're running the heck out of the ball, and the defense actually looks better than I thought it would going into the season, and I thought they were going to be pretty good. So that's great. Utah deserves recognition. And BYU does too. 7, should they be ahead of Ole Miss, Georgia, Alabama? They have a better record than all 3 of those teams. Maybe. If it mattered, I'd care more.
Here is the top 10, if you did not see it yesterday. Ohio State 8-0, number 1. Indiana 9-0, number 2. Texas A&M 8-0, number 3, which is why I'm a little bit perplexed, I guess, is why BYU is not higher. BYU is also 8-0, and they are not sitting right behind those 3 other undefeated teams. Alabama 7-1, Georgia 7-1, Ole Miss 8-1. And I get you can say, well, strength of schedule, they're playing in the SEC, all 3 of those teams. That's why they're ahead of BYU. BYU's playing the teams they can. They're beating all the teams they can. They beat the number 13 team in the country, according to your list. That's their best matchups. They've won them all. So they'll get Texas Tech this weekend. You would hope if they beat Texas Tech, they do jump up to 5, because that's a huge top 10 win. You can no longer argue against them. But, yeah, that does show, I guess, I don't want to say bias, but a little bit of how they're viewing the value of the Big Ten and the SEC over the Big 12.
Yeah, sure. Great.
Yeah.
Terrific.
Yeah.
I honestly just want to go back to the old bowl system. Like, not the BCS, not the Alliance, but just like if you win the Pac-12, you go to the Rose Bowl. That's what I want. If you win the ACC, you go to the Orange Bowl. It was better.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with
Now, nobody will agree with me except for you, which I'm grateful for. But, yeah, I mean, people want to watch a bunch of 2-loss and 3-loss teams have a chance at a title. Okay. I guess it's more games, which, I like watching football, so that's great.
And Utah fans can be happy that they're ranked above Miami, USC, Michigan, Washington. Those were teams that were measuring sticks for a while. Not Miami necessarily, but USC, Washington were certainly teams that you were compared to for a long time over your life in the Pac-12. So you don't have to, or you can still wear that as a feather in your cap.
Well, you should print up a certificate.
First college football playoff rankings.
Send it on up there.
2025.
Give them something they can put on the fridge, man.
Ahead of Michigan.
Yeah, that's it. Now, if there is something you can hang your hat on, boy, howdy, that is it.
You're right. There is absolutely a case, though, that Virginia, who's sitting at 8-1, and Virginia would get an auto qualifier because they're leading the ACC right now. But Louisville at 7-1, Vandy at 7-2, Georgia Tech 8-1, even Miami at 6-2 or USC at 6-2, all based on how the wind blows could jump Utah for really no reason, just because the committee says like, oh well, they're more exciting,
because
they're more fun.
Someone got a hemorrhoid over the weekend and is in a bad mood when they walked into the committee meeting. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's totally silly. If Stinkin' wins out, yeah, they're putting them in over Utah. I bet you $1 zillion.
As much as you could look at, Utah only needs Notre Dame to lose a game and Texas to lose a game and, Ole Miss to lose a game, and Utah can jump up into that top 12, 11, 10, you also have to understand those 5 teams before you are looking at the exact same thing. And if push comes to shove, are they going to take Utah over, a Vanderbilt? Not that Vanderbilt's necessarily a great program historically, but they're an SEC school, and they have been a fun story this year.
Ben, just to prove your point, Stinkin' Riley and USC have these 4 games left. Home against Northwestern, home against Iowa, who is currently in the top 25, at Oregon, home against UCLA. If Stinkin' wins out,
yeah, they're going to jump Utah, no question.
No question.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to win out. I don't think they're going to beat Oregon, but if they do, yes.
They're going.
Absolutely going to leap Utah. Because they're going to say, well, Utah beat Kansas State, whatever.
And
Kansas,
then,
yeah.
But did you see Stinkin' take it to the Ducks?
You're right.
It's a guarantee. So then what does this 13th ranking mean?
Right now, absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Kalani's taping it up to the bulletin board and saying, we're getting no respect.
Yeah.
That's about all it's
to your
good
point,
for.
Vanderbilt closes the season against number 3 ranked Tennessee. You win that game, that's better than what Utah has done over the final 3 weeks. You can justify Vandy jumping Utah. Absolutely you can.
Which is what they likely want to do.
Could be. Utah needs some help in front of them if you believe this ranking.
So even the ranking number 13 is kind of condescending if you really think about it. Like, oh, we'll give you a cute little ranking in week 1. But guess what? When these other teams win,
you're
we're
going to win
moving
out
you
and
back.
you're going to drop.
And then when you complain about it, we're going to say, we thought you were great. It's not our fault.
Yeah.
Hate it.
Yeah.
They should just take the Big 12 power poll.
Absolutely.
Or they should
And apply it.
let us vote. I'll go in there with all sorts of personal vendettas.
Cincinnati number 1.
Yeah,
Cincinnati
you want to see
Bearcats.
the Bearcats are getting in. That's my first decision. That's my
non-negotiable.
That's my non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Is Cincinnati's going to be playing?
Texas Tech out of
Out
the
of it,
25.
not a chance.
Oh, Texas Tech is getting. I don't know. Can the NCAA punish? Can the College Football Playoff Committee punish? I'd take away scholarships. Is that even a thing anymore?
No, because you just pay the players.
I'd have their stadium condemned. Could I do that?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Joey McGuire gets suspended. Moe Jaguar gets banned from the stadium.
I like this idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Let's put the wheels in motion. Christian, call somebody. All right, stay tuned. Top 3 stories of the day, KSLSports.com coming up next. It's the Jake and Ben Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.